Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Those Coffee People podcast, where we explore the stories behind the people, businesses, and innovation shaping today's coffee culture. I'm your host, Samuel, and today we're speaking with Noah, CEO of Cappuccino Man, a pioneer coffee catering company in the United States. Founded more than 30 years ago, Cappuccino Man has grown into an icon in coffee carrying, serving everything from intimate gatherings to massive events with thousands of guests. In this episode, Noah is going to share the lessons he's learned from carrying on that legacy, the advice he wishes he had heard on the day one, and how Cappuccino Man continues to innovate in a fast changing coffee world. Noah, welcome to the podcast.
Hey,
Hey,
thanks for
thanks for
having me,
having me,
man.
man. Yeah, it's really great to have you here. And to begin, where 30 years is quite an achievement. So I would like you to tell us about how the company was founded and what the early days were like.
Yeah, so basically my dad started this company in around 1993 or 94. There's a little bit of a, gray area there because he basically my family was located in Los Angeles. I was born in LA, right? And then but my mom, her mother was in Michigan. At some point in time, my family realized that it was going to be really expensive to send three of kids to private school because that's, my family felt it was not, as safe or whatever to send the kids to public school. So they, we were all in private school and they realized, you know what, we might want to think about, leaving LA somewhere that's maybe like a little bit, safer, better public school systems. And, my grandma was getting older. So, I think she wanted to be with her. And so anyway, my dad, who was, in sales, and that's kind of all he ever knew, was I think he found a newspaper ad that said, if you're looking to, we're looking to franchise, we have a coffee company, we're selling these coffee machines. And, it was basically a big steamer. So it didn't even have an area where you could pull a traditional shot of espresso. It was like just a big metal box with a boiler inside and one steaming wand, and that was it. But what came along with that was also the opportunity to sell a liquid bottled espresso. So the company was called Piacere, which is an Italian word for pleasure. It was con piacere, it was just like with pleasure, right? So that was the name of the company. He had an interview with this guy named Dick 4K, who owned the company at the time, and basically got signed on to sell these steamers and then would sell the liquid espresso product to whoever he had sold that machine to. So his main, goal was to find restaurants that maybe didn't have a coffee program, right? Like a specialty coffee program. But again, keep in mind, this is 1993 when there were not really many Starbucks. I think that was just getting started around that time. And cappuccino and latte were not words that you heard in a daily, it just was different. Coffee was different. Coffee with cream was coffee and cream. There was no steamed milk and frothing and macchiatos, things like that. So he kind of had to sell something to these restaurants that didn't know they needed it, right? There was like no demand for it yet. So yeah, the easiest way to, long story short with it is he had sold probably 10 machines to different restaurants around Metro Detroit because, we had, again, I'm 9 years old. My brother and sister were 4 and 5 years old, and he had committed to, this being his new job. So he sold, 10, 15 machines to different shops around Metro Detroit and the suburbs, and then was, stocking them and selling them additional bottles, like cases of these. It looked like a 2-liter, but with a liquid espresso. They would pour the liquid espresso into a pitcher. They would steam that liquid espresso, pour that into the bottom of the cup, and then use a different pitcher to steam the milk, pour it in, and that was your latte or cappuccino, however you steamed it. And he did this for, I want to say, about 6 to 8 months. And at some point in time, I think he was, making decent money, whatever it was. But somebody said, like, hey, this is cool. I'm not really interested in buying this machine, but I have an idea. What if you brought this to my daughter's wedding next week? This would be a really nice addition to the dessert table. Well, that's not what I do. I'm not a caterer. I'm here to sell you a machine. Well, just name your price. I want you to be there and I want you to serve my guests. There's 300 people there. And my dad goes, how about $1 a person, $300, which sounded like probably a fair price. at the time. But from that one event, from that very first event that he did, the interest that was sparked from the people who saw him and saw the reaction that people, the line of people who were waiting to get their fancy, vanilla lattes and their, cappuccinos. This would be awesome for my work party. This would be great for my daughter's birthday. And like, it was just like, boom, the light bulb went off. He said, hey, I think this is the new direction that we're going to take with the business. And for a while, it was still called Piacere. He called it Piacere, Michigan. He was doing events at hotels and he was doing events at, banquet halls and things like that. And there was a certain banquet hall where every time he would work there, he'd be rolling the cart down the hallway, the coffee cart, because he built a coffee cart to use. And the Cappuccino Man is here. There's the Cappuccino Man. And that was the name just stuck. He's like, you know what? That's it. Cappuccino Man, that's the name of the company. So probably got to give that guy credit somewhere, who's probably not working at that hotel anymore. But this is 32 years ago. So yeah, that was kind of the inception of the business. And for the longest time, it was just him with a SUV, I think a Chevy Suburban, and a cart that was in two different pieces that he would manually lift up piece by piece into the car. And, by the time I was 13 years old, that was my first job. I was working behind the cart and helping my dad out and stuff. Yeah, so that's kind of the roots of it.
That's an amazing story. I didn't expect that to be the beginning of the name of it, Cappuccino Man.
Yeah.
Okay, so after 3 decades of Cappuccino Man, what's one piece of advice you wish someone had told you on day one about building a business that lasts?
There's so much. Well, I'll tell you something that my dad told me that I didn't listen to, which of course, why would I, right? Because it's my dad. Why would you listen to your parents? He told me from day one when I moved out, when I got my first cart and I started kind of advertising that Cappuccino Man was now available here in Los Angeles, he said, whatever you do, don't sign up to do vending. Don't try and sell by the cup, because it's really hard to make money that way. No matter what they tell you, no matter how many people they say are going to be at that event, think about the fact that, you have to sell the cup for $5 to $6 a piece, do the math and figure out how much it's going to cost you, labor, product, etc. And of course, I didn't listen. I was like, oh, well, but these people said they have a holiday boutique with, 200 people that are all going to want coffee. And I probably tried 10 times in my first, 6 months of business probably. And almost every single time I came out and I was counting the cash or, figuring out how much money. I was like, okay, yep, that wasn't worth it. Yep, I probably should have not done that. I had big plans from day one. I was going through Facebook at the time, I don't even know if there was much Instagram going on. I was on Facebook, I was Googling, I was like just looking for party planners in Los Angeles. And I was just like I had a list. I probably still have the list on my computer, an Excel spreadsheet of people that I wanted to reach out to, which probably would have been great, except for, I'll be honest, I just started doing Google ads and the business came to me. Like, I didn't really have to do much outreach, if you will. So that list still lives somewhere on my computer. And I don't think I called more than 10 of them. There's things you have to learn along the way. There's like insurance. Of course, at first, when it was just me finding people to work for me, I was just paying everybody as a 1099, independent contractor. There's been laws that have now changed since then. But, I don't know if anybody would have ever had to tell me this, but I guess what I would say if somebody asked me, like, treat your employees like gold. Your employees need to be your number one priority to make sure they're happy, getting paid well, and offering them perks and benefits that want to make them stay with you. Because I don't know if I can say anybody has ever quit working for me. Like, I have people who have been working for me for many, many years, and it's because we really take care of it.
Wow, that is one piece of advice that is so gold, like you say. Yeah, taking care of your employees. Well, I mean, in that way, you developed like a great leadership in Cappuccino Man, but you didn't jump into Cappuccino Man right away. You had a different path before stepping in as the leader of it. So looking back, what's the biggest lesson you've learned about leadership that you pass on to someone who's hesitant about taking over a family business?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I guess we'll take it back to like when I first moved out to LA, and that was the reason I moved out here from Detroit was because I was obsessed with skateboarding, snowboarding, surfing, wakeboarding, all of the board sports, the action sports world, think X Games, right? And all of those sports. And when I was 19, all throughout high school, I was just obsessed. That's all I wanted to do. That's all I thought about. And so California, Los Angeles specifically is like the hub of where all of that lived. So after 1 year at college at Michigan State University, I decided like I wasn't going to hang around and I wanted to move out here. I started working at a skateboard shop in Santa Monica and pretty quickly was, promoted to being a manager. So like, I was like an assistant manager. They made me the team manager of the shop. And then at some point in time, I worked for another shop and I was actually managing 2 shops, general manager. So I did learn a lot of skills having to oversee a staff of people who were, maybe needing a little bit of guidance. So, I think it was an interesting time because during the end of my action sports career, if you will, it's kind of when social media started really kicking off. I think I remember having a conversation with my boss and going up to his desk and being like, "Hey, there's this new thing called Instagram. It's going to be big. We gotta create one for the shop and we should probably make one for the brand too." "Oh no, we don't need to. We already do Facebook and there's too many social medias out there. I don't think." I was like, "All right, well, I'm going to do it then. Let me do it and we'll see what happens." Yeah, I mean, when it comes to leadership, I think there's obviously a fine line between being friends with your employees and being their boss. And I just think that in my own life, I've always spoken to pretty much everybody when it's either someone older than me, younger than me, a boss, a friend, my kids. Like, I just try to speak to everyone on the same level. Like, I don't want anyone to ever feel like I'm better than them, right? Or like, smarter than them or anything like that, because then all of a sudden there's just a weird stigma, right? People are like, they might be talking about you behind your back or like, whatever it is. Like, I want to make sure that I'm treating everybody fairly and I'm always open to feedback. There's nothing in this company would have ever changed if I was not open to hearing the opinions of other people. And that includes my employees, friends and family, other clients that we've worked for, party planners. Like, I would still have, one, wooden cart and just from the size of the towels that we use to clean the steaming wands to the, to a trash can and having something around the trash can to make it look nicer. Like, there's just so many different things that we have done in the last 12 years here in LA that I've actually been able to help my dad kind of morph his business to be more efficient and to be, more streamlined and to, introduce drinks that were trending we were way, way ahead of the curve on, like matcha and golden milk. But, we don't know, you have to be more modest and you have to be open to hearing someone else's point of view, because whatever you think might be the best way of doing something, there might be a better way that you didn't think of yet. And if you just can't be you got to be more level-headed, right? And just be open for it. So yeah, I mean, even in the last 5 years, if you looked at what my carts looked like 5 years ago to what they look like now, it's a totally different look. And it's all because, again, of feedback that we have received and the ability and willingness to adapt.
Well, that is so great to hear. I mean, now we are connecting it to the innovation, which is really important for Cappuccino Man. And that is something that we spoke before in our intro call. Cappuccino Man has always been ahead of the curve, from printing logos on cappuccinos to offering drinks like matcha and chai before they were mainstream. What's the secret behind staying fresh after 30 years?
I think that just kind of being in tune with what is trending in the world of coffee, of course, like following other, Instagrams and stuff, and something that we're probably not as good at because we just don't have the resources to do it. And I'm kind of past the point of having the time to do it is just like kind of everybody has their little niche, right? Like, there's like coffee shops that I like, or even just coffee brands that I follow that I like. They have really funny, like content that engages you, right? Like, like a video, even if it's only a 15-30 second snippet, but they're like integrating humor, right? And I think that it's like one of those things that some shops can get away with. But, for our brand specifically, we're definitely more, we want to take ourselves seriously and we want other people to take us seriously, but we also want to make sure they understand that like it's fun and we're also having fun.
How other coffee businesses can keep innovating without losing their identity?
Yeah. So it's something that I think also we could do a better job of when it comes to integrating more drinks, introducing more drinks. It's hard because we have a menu and we have 8 vehicles, right? We have 8 carts. So when we have to introduce something new, we now have to make sure that we have, you know, 8 new, if it's hojicha, for example, which is a new kind of like, matcha, it's like a roasted matcha, whatever, right? So like my matcha rep's been really trying to push me to put it on the cart. I'm like, okay, well, if I do that, now I have to get like 8 of the, the little canisters to put them in. I have to like, make sure that all of my carts have that product at all times. I have to like probably make a new menu or have a specials board. And latte art, I think, is really important. And a lot of shops don't really understand the importance of it. Even if it's just basic hearts and rosettas and tulips, like, it doesn't cost that much. It wouldn't cost the shop much money. And we do this as well. We will do like latte art training. We've been asked to do this before, because when I'm in a city that I don't know and I'm looking for a cool coffee shop, I'll be honest, if I'm on Yelp and I'm looking at all the pictures, I want to see cool latte art. That's just me as a barista. So I'm like scrolling through like, oh, wow, these ones, look at this guy poured a really nice rosetta or a tulip. And I'm more engaged and more like willing to go to a shop like that. So, it doesn't matter how good your coffee is. And this is going to go back to a totally different subject now. I'm going to change subject. Latte art's great. The taste of the coffee is great. The employees, the baristas, are so much more important to me, because I don't care if that coffee costs $15 a cup and it's the best tasting coffee I've ever had. If the barista behind the bar seems like they don't want to be there, or they're not having fun, or they're just too cool, right? Like, you ask them a question and they give you like a 2-word answer and then go like, turn around and don't want to engage with you. Like, we're humans, man. Like, how many interactions am I going to have today with people, and this is like my opportunity to kind of nerd out with you real quick about coffee. Like, I'm not going to name any names, but there have definitely been opportunities that I've gone into a shop and spoken to an owner, and I've been like, wow, I'm totally coming back to this shop because of just how engaged I was into this conversation and how friendly this person was. But I've also walked into a shop and talked to the owner and gotten a couple, 2-3 word answers. And I'm like, I don't think I'm ever coming back here. So I think there's a lot of importance in just like the details when it comes to your staff. And if it's somebody that you see as a potential problem, obviously you can give them a chance and say, hey, like, we kind of need you to turn your attitude around if you want to stick around. If not, maybe find another job. Maybe customer service isn't for you.
Yes, I totally get that. I mean, when you are talking about coffee, community, bringing up community and being friendly each other, that's what really matters here. And that's a key point that. So Cappuccino Man has leveraged Instagram and social media in smart ways to keep the brand top of mind. So I would ask here, what's your top piece of advice for offer for other coffee entrepreneurs trying to stand out on Instagram today?
That's a really good question. And I'm probably not the best person because, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, hashtags were all the thing, right? And now I feel like it's a lot more important to have like reels, like, engaging reels. And then now they're using kind of the same format that TikTok was, when it's like now the music is actually really important, right? Because, the algorithm is now pushing things to the top, right? With like, music that's trending. So, for us, we're definitely, our Instagram is it's old school, but it's a curated way of making an Instagram, because I want someone to land on my page and in just a little, like they can scroll a little bit. I want them to get like a full vision of what they can expect from us without, little weird, silly videos in between. I know there's a whole tab for reels and stuff now, but some of the best things that you can do, which is honestly, it's got to be organic. So you have to do what we do, which is, a lot of our competitors, I would say almost all of them, have tried to replicate or tried to do what we do. And we've been doing it for almost 10 years now, is the personalization factor, right? So we are personalizing every single event with not only, a custom stencil, which I can, show you some examples of here. And I make these on a 3D printer. Every event that we do, we make a stencil, right? So this is like it's called White and Case, right? So that's a brand that is, I think there's some kind of a accounting firm of some sort. We do stuff for them, like recruiting events at college campuses and stuff like that. You can do anything, right? So we take this, we put it on top of the latte. It says "Keep Calm" and Caravel. I have no idea what that is. I literally couldn't tell you the company, but I make thousands of these a year because we do, almost 1,000 events. Some people want 2 stencils per event, and I make them on my computer. It takes at least 10, 15 minutes to make them on the computer, and then the printer takes at least an hour to print it. And some people might think like, wow, that's crazy. You do that for every single event. Like, isn't there a better way to do that? And of course, yeah, a lot of my competitors have a latte printer that actually prints onto the tops of the lattes, which we also do. We did an event last night for a celebrity pop star who wanted us there for her music video release party. We were printing her face on tops of all the lattes. But what I'm getting at is, when you create something that someone wants to take a picture of and post on their social media, you have now organically, without paying a cent, created a buzz and created an interest. And if that person tags us, which they hopefully will, or we have strategically placed our little handle down where we drop the drink off. So even if they didn't tag us, somebody could still see like, oh, I wonder who that guy is. Oh, Cappuccino Man, we got to get a hold of them. So I get calls constantly, multiple times a week, or even just the inquiries that come in through the website. That's, how did you hear about us? That's one of the questions. And it'll say social media or say Instagram, or I saw you on my cousin's, Instagram at her work. And now at my kid's birthday parties next week, how much do you charge? So it's not the easiest thing to do. And I think we almost kind of did it by mistake. It's not like we like purposefully started putting stencils on lattes so people would tag us. But I mean, if you think about the types of events that we do here in LA with celebrities and influencers and people who are decision makers or CEOs of companies, like if that person's taking pictures and posting it on their Instagram and they have a big following, I mean, it's priceless. You can't pay for that kind of advertising. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of events where we're not even allowed to, there's NDAs that we have to sign and we're not allowed to talk about them. We're not allowed to post anything from there. But as soon as one of those people posts, that's fair game. It's in a public space and we can repost it and we can claim it. You're like, hey, we were at so-and-so's, kid's birthday party and, check out the picture they posted.
That's fair. I mean, you mentioned before that you weren't the right person mentioning about that, but that is an amazing advice actually to make an organic growing into social media.
Absolutely.
So, changing topics, I have a question here that is quite interesting. More people are leaving behind alcohol and turning into coffee and other craft beverages. So, from your perspective in carrying, to what degree do you see this shift shaping the future of events? And what opportunities does it create for coffee businesses?
Yeah, that is a good question. And I'm getting a little older myself too, with a lot of, my friends starting to, jump off of the alcohol train. And yes, so we do a lot of events that are actually, like, we call them dry. It's a dry event. When there's no alcohol, it's a dry wedding. They either, one, didn't want to spend the money to have an open bar, or two, it's like a religious thing, or sometimes it's like, recovering alcoholics and they don't want to tempt anybody, so they just want to, hey, I always make the joke, we're the only buzz anyone's going to get here, so the caffeine is going to be your buzz that you're going to get tonight. But I think it is a really cool opportunity. And as you see, probably more and more restaurants are offering, mocktails, which is a thing that you would not have seen, maybe 5-10 years ago. Like, there's a section in the drinks menu for like mocktails, and that's exciting for somebody who doesn't drink. And I think that it's always important to have something for everyone. We have definitely toyed with different drinks on the menu with espresso tonics, right? That's a really kind of a cool one. Recently, during the summer, we do matcha lemonade. So it's literally just like lemon syrup, matcha, powder, and then hot water, and we dissolve that, and then we can, just like add water and throw it over ice, and it's delicious. So yeah, it is really important for any, I think, establishment to have something for everyone. And golden milk is one of those things that really stuck. I remember when we introduced golden milk, it was along with like 3 other drinks. And I think we were just trying to make colorful drinks because that was trending for a while, like pink and, blue and purple lattes. We did activated charcoal lattes, which did not catch on quite as well. I mean, there's definitely some, shops out there that still do it, but like having to explain what that does was like a little awkward to people. We won't get into it. But then there was also like a beetroot latte, which was like a kind of a purpley pink looking thing. It tasted like some kind of Russian soup or something, which I don't think most people really liked. And then what else did we do? There was a butterfly blue pea latte that really didn't have much of a story to it because it was just milk that was blue. and didn't really do anything. But then, yeah, golden milk, man, was one of those things that I seen it in Japan, and I saw it in Hawaii, and I saw it in Portland and Seattle when we were visiting, and I was like, this is gonna be the one. Like this is gonna catch on, and I think it's gonna be like, and we just never got rid of it. And this was probably 5 years ago. And even just last night alone at the music video thing I was telling you about, I probably served at least 7 or 8 golden milks to people who were there that were so excited that we had it, right? Because 'Cause they're like, "Oh, it's too late for coffee, man. I'm gonna pass. I don't think I can do." I was like, "Well, we have decaf coffee." Like, "Yeah, well, yeah, I don't wanna." I was like, "Well, what about golden milk?" Like, "You have golden milk? Oh my, that's like one of my favorite things." And I'm sure there's still parts of the USA, Middle America that maybe aren't quite as hip or don't really know what that is, but, uh, people who are in tune in the coffee industry do. And yeah, I think you know, being aware, and it's every market is different, so maybe that's not going to go off in your hometown. But I always love to try the special that a shop will have. I'm like, hey, like, what's the thing that you guys are famous for? Like, what's something that you guys do that somebody else doesn't? I think I had like a vanilla bourbon latte from some shop a few days ago, and it was damn good. I was like, not something that I would usually order, but like, hey, middle of the day looking for a little pick me up, and let me know what should I get. I'm not sure if I answered your question up there, but
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm really curious about golden milk right now. I'm not sure if they serve it here in Colombia.
it's literally just 3 ingredients. It's turmeric, ginger, and a little bit of black pepper. And so you dissolve those it's ginger powder, turmeric powder together, 1-to-1 ratio. And then you just do a little dash of black pepper. You dissolve that, you make it a paste just like you would for matcha, and then, add whichever milk you want. And usually I suggest sweeten it. You gotta have a little honey, agave, something because it's strong. Um,
But it sounds delicious, totally.
it's really feel it in your veins.
So Noah, before we wrap up, let's give our listeners a way to connect with you. So if someone is listening and is ready to take the next step toward getting you on their events, what's the best way to reach out to you or learn more?
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. Our website is definitely the best place to kind of see a nice visual, www.cappuccinoman.com. It's not the easiest one to spell, but CAPPUCCINOMAN.com. And then the Instagram is just the Cappuccino Man. And between those two places, like, that's going to definitely give you the best visual. We have a contact page on the website where, if anyone has an event, we always just send them straight to the contact page because it asks all the questions that we need to know, and then we just kind of like copy and paste it all into a nice little like Excel sheet. But yeah, when you look at the Instagram, it's funny because when I try and explain to somebody what we do, I start talking about it, and like 30 seconds in, I'm like, let me just show you, because it's really hard to try and like grasp what we do and like all the things with the personalization and the stencil and the, just like, you got to see the carts, man. They're beautiful. Like, you got to see the tops of these lattes. They're crazy. So yeah, we got that one a long time ago, man. CappuccinoMan.com and the Cappuccino Man on IG.
So there you go, everyone. Just have a look at Cappuccino Man. They are great. Those beverages really sounds delicious, and you're gonna have a great time at your events. It was a pleasure to have you here today at our podcast. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your experiences. And yeah, any last words to the people?
No, thank you so much for taking the time. If you ever have any questions, we're definitely the experts in this field, and we give people advice for free all the time. Don't hesitate to reach out. We'll definitely be there for you.
So everyone, thank you so much for hopping in, and see you next time. Bye bye.
Thanks, man. Nice to meet you.